Hi INFJs, are you tired of doubting whether you're good enough or sick of feeling stuck at that same level that you have always been in your entire life? Or do you find that you won't even try something, take a risk, go out of your comfort zone because that thought of it's not going to work out for me anyway because it never does keeps haunting you? If this is something that you are like, yep, this is me, then this video is for you. We're going to chat today about our internal appraisals that we have about ourselves and how our view of our self-worth, how we view ourselves and our capabilities sets the stage for absolutely every choice we make in life, from relationships to careers to hobbies that we may never start. This is something near and dear to my heart because I had very low self-belief. I had very low appraisal about myself, and I stayed stuck until I was almost 40. It was horrible. But then I'm going to share with you 3 ways to change this. 3 ways to get you going so that you're not stuck. You can climb out of that dark rabbit hole. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name's Trina. I'm an INFJ and I'm also autistic. I created this channel with hopes of helping people like myself feel seen, heard, and understood and less alone. I also help INFJs and autistic INFJs heal their self-love through coaching, classes, and community. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. I hope you find it helpful. And if you're returning, I'm glad you came back. I am so grateful for all my viewers. I truly am. You guys are so amazing. You guys are just so amazing. I'm so proud of how well you have made my channel do. So if you haven't yet, I invite you to subscribe to my channel and like this video. I would really appreciate the support. Right, let's get into this. Again, like I said, this is near and dear to my heart because this was a huge struggle for me. I did not realize that it impacted so much of my life. How I viewed myself impacted so much of my life. It was crazy. It really is crazy how much it impacts our life. So when we have this mindset, which I'm going to add, if you feel this way, you have a very low self-appraisal of yourself. Does that make sense? Appraisal of yourself. If you think lowly about yourself, you have no self-love, you can't stand who you are, you think you are worthless. I couldn't even look in the mirror, guys. That's how horrible I was. Oh, I hated who I was. I couldn't look in the mirror. I thought I was useless and worthless and to the point, and I've said this before, I'm going to say it again, if somebody cooked me a meal or invited me out for a meal or bought me a gift, I had so much guilt inside of me because I really truly felt that they wasted their money on me because I was so useless. It was horrible. But anyway, if you feel this way, don't feel bad. There's a lot of feel words going on now, right? But don't feel bad because this is a very common mindset. And I'm going to say mindset because we can change it. So if we can change it, it's definitely a mindset. But it's a very common mindset for INFJs and autistic INFJs to just have very low appraisal about themselves. Very common. So don't feel bad. Have compassion. Everything starts with compassion. We can heal it. Our deep sensitivity makes us internalize criticism, and this may cause us to fear failure or rejection very, very intensely. So our deep sensitivity. So if you find that you can't handle criticism, now I do know that a lot of criticism was meant to be constructive. It's meant to help us grow. Some people, the way they deliver it is a little bit aggressive. So it's very hard not to internalize that, right? But if you find that you cannot handle criticism, then lean in because this is what could be going on. Lots of times we can't handle criticism to the point where we won't even take action. It's because we've got low appraisal on ourselves quite often. We've internalized that, and it's a direct hit on our self-worth. And when our self-worth is that low and something hits it again, it hurts so very deeply bad. I know, I've felt it. So we won't even take action. Our perfectionism, we will set high standards for ourselves. So high, we think this is an act of self-love that we're going to push ourselves to be better so we can be accepted, so that we can have that life that we desire. We can find our purpose and our meaning. And it's not self-love, guys. It's not. It's the opposite. You're feeding your hatred. You're feeding that low self-worth when we set those crazy high standards for ourselves and we know we cannot reach them, it's feeding it. It's feeding it. But this is what happens. And then we will procrastinate and maybe even avoid taking action because we know we've set these high standards and part of us is like, yes, I'm doing this because I love you and I'm going to push you and this is what we're going to do. And the other part of us is like, no, I know I'm not ever going to be able to do this. I'm not even going to start. I can't handle being criticized. I can't handle being judged anymore. I'm not even going to do it. Not even going to share with people that I had this idea. That was me. Our desire for alignment. This is huge. We want our actions to align with our purpose and our values. But here's the catch. When we are in this mindset and we have low appraisal about ourselves, we hate who we are, we often have no idea who we are, what our values are. When we don't know what our values are, nothing is going to align to them because we don't know what they are. So this will cause us to hesitate even taking action. It becomes very scary. Oh, there's a bug. There's a bug in my winter scene here. It becomes very scary for us to take action because nothing feels in alignment with who we are. So we need to work on that and figure out what is it that we value so that it will lead us to our purpose. Little bit of work on figuring out values. I should do a video on that. I think it would be very helpful because it's very important for us to know our values for this reason. When we don't know our values, how can we be aligned with it, right? So the consequences of having low self-belief, having that low self-worth, feeling so bad about ourselves, what happens? Well, relationships struggle, right? We find that we may not be asserting our needs or we're staying in bad relationships far too long. That was me, both. Never asserted my needs because I thought I was worthless. I had no needs, right? I wasn't worthy of having needs and I would stay in bad relationships far too long until I would hit that boiling point. And have you heard that term INFJ door slam? I've done that a couple times. Not proud of it, but I have done it. We do it. I'm not going to come down on myself for it. Our careers suffer. So we may not even apply for those promotions that are coming up. We may not even think about them. You know, we might hear and we let it go in one ear out the other because we think we're not good enough. I'm not going to do it. Even though we are capable of it. And you know what? Probably people around your office or your workplace, wherever it may be, can see that, but you can't. So they're going to treat you the way you're putting it out there that you're treating yourself. So you think you're worthless, even though they can see that you're not, even though that they can see that you're this amazing leader, they're going to continue treating you the way you're treating yourself because that's just how humans are wired to mirror what's being put out there. That energy, they're going to mirror that energy and you're going to get it. I did a video on this about our appraisal of ourselves will affect how people treat us. And it's so fascinating, so fascinating. We will stay stuck in our comfort zones when we are in this mindset in our career. We won't even try. That was me. Promotions would come up, opportunities, I wouldn't even give them a second thought. If you were to ask me about them now, I can think back and be like, oh yeah, that did come up. And I didn't even give it a second thought. Thinking back now, I could see that I was totally capable of it. But back then, I wasn't, or I thought I wasn't, so I wouldn't even try. And then I wondered why I stayed stuck. Our personal growth, again, we stay small. We don't go out of our comfort zone. We miss our hidden talents because we are not trying new things. Oh my gosh, you guys, you know what? This is so cool. And I haven't shared it yet. Last week, was it last week? I don't remember. It was either it was the week before last, sorry. I was part of a book, a collaborative book that came out. It was launched just 2 weeks ago. It hit #1, international bestseller again, and I was part of that. I did not know I had the talent to write until I was in my 40s. Now, if I had never done the work on myself, I would have never made it to international bestseller. That's the 3rd time I've been part of a collaborative book that's made it to international bestselling list. That makes sense? It made sense in my brain. We miss our hidden talents because we won't even give things a chance. Can you imagine if I still had not done the work on myself and never experienced this about reaching international bestseller author in a collaborative book 3 times over now. It's amazing. And I may not have ever experienced that if I hadn't done the work on building up my self-worth and the appraisal that I had on myself, because I wouldn't have even tried. I would have been like, no, I'm not good enough. If I would have been asked to do this, I'm going to say probably, we'll say 8 to 10 years ago, if somebody would have asked me to be part of a collaborative book with other authors, I would have flat out said no. I wouldn't even thought about it. Oh, no, I can't do that. I'm not good enough. Crazy how much we miss out on. So examples of this going on when we have low appraisal, we may find ourselves not speaking out during meetings. I never did. I had tons of meetings when I worked corporate oil field, tons of meetings I was involved in. I hated them. There were so many people around me. I hated it. I don't like people being around me like that. But I wouldn't speak out because I didn't think that my ideas were good enough and people were just going to think that I was a joke. So I would stay quiet. My ideas were good enough. I had great ideas, but I wouldn't share them. That reflected bad on my performance I was labeled a non-team player because of it, because I was too quiet, right? We may find that we're avoiding creative pursuits because it feels that others are better at it than we are. Again, going back to my writing, guys. I would have avoided that and never experienced it. Thoughts that we have about ourselves, they are just stories that we've internalized. That's all they are. They're just stories that we've internalized. Often these stories are created from childhood and past experiences. But what's super cool and what's really good news about this is any story can be rewritten. Even if you don't think you're a writer, that's okay. You are. You're a writer of your own story. Everybody on earth is a writer because they're writing their own stories they have about themselves. And any story can be rewritten. So how do we do this? How do we start rewriting those stories about ourselves so that we can start feeling better about ourselves, so that we are not staying stuck anymore? I'm going to share 3 things with you. The first one is, and now when we do this, I want you to have fun. I want you to have fun with it. Let go of expectations, let go of limitations. Connect into that child, that inner child that you have, that childish part of yourself, because this is just for you. Nobody's going to ever see any of this. This is just for you, and have fun with it. So the first thing is I want you to create 2 lists. One list is going to be the current story you have writing about yourself in your head, how you feel about yourself, and be honest. Even if it's cruel, I was so cruel to myself, guys. So cruel. Be honest. List it. List what you feel about yourself, that current story. Then the next list I want you to create is your new story. And this is where I want you to have fun and creative and use your imagination. And when those what ifs come up, use them for like, what if I could do this? So even if it's outrageous, write it down, that new story. Reflect on your strengths and your potentials. Even if you don't know if you have them, write them down. Because if you had thoughts about them, I can almost guarantee you have these strengths or potentials. That's why you're having the thoughts about them. So what I mean by that is when I write the story, this is what I did. So my current story, a common one for me is I'm not good enough. My new story is I'm not good enough yet, but I can learn. We can all learn. So it's so true for everybody. You might not be good enough yet. You might not know how to do it yet, but you can learn. So the 2 lists, and have fun. Again, let go of expectations, connect with that child, and just what if? What if? Just take a little risk. Again, nobody's going to see it but you. Number 2, this is super cool. Sounds a little corny and you might feel weird doing it, but it's fun. Again, have fun with it. Visualize your future self. Map it out. Who do you want to be? Even write down to, you could write a letter to your future self. Or you could have your future self write a letter back to you. Who do you want to be? How do you dress? How does your future self dress? How does your future self speak? Interact with others. What risks does your future self take? Again, have fun with it. The risks can be scary, but have fun with it. What risks is your future self taking? What is it that you've always wanted to do? Write that down. We need to map it out. We need to know who we want to be. If we don't know who we want to be, how are we going to get there? We need to know who we want to be so that we can map out how we're going to get there. Super important. Have fun. Again, play around with those what ifs. What if I can do this? Not the bad what ifs. What if this doesn't work? What if I fail? Nope. Fail only means it's just another way of learning. No big deal. What if you fail? So what? You learned something. Big deal, right? Keep going. Number 3, this is super important, micro wins. I've shared this in other videos. Acknowledge your tiny wins, small ones. You know what? Celebrate effort. Even if you failed, if it didn't work out the way you wanted it to and you're going to try again, celebrate the fact that you tried. That's huge because you know how many people in this world, they won't even try? So celebrate the fact that you tried. Did you know that doing this, acknowledging those small wins, as small as they are, even to the fact that, you know what, I got out of bed today, I got dressed. That's a win. Did you know that this starts building self-trust? Acknowledging those small wins, that's huge. Building self-trust, that's huge. And it's such an easy way to do it. When I was doing this, because I also had no self-trust, at the end of every day, I'd celebrate my wins for the day. I didn't care how small they were. Maybe it was making lunches for my kids for the next day at school. That's a win. My kids get to eat. Actually, think about it. Heck, that's a big win. My kids get to eat the next day. Celebrate it. It helps build self-trust. You are capable of more than you even realize. Truly, I say this right from the heart because you are. Your value, remember this, you guys, your value is not determined by others' opinions of yourself, of you, not yourself, of you, of others' opinions of you, or past failures. It's not determined by that at all. Not at all. Every time that you choose to show up despite your doubts, you're rewriting your story. Did you know that? Every time you choose to show up, even when you're scared, even when you have doubts, even if those negative what ifs are rolling around and you push them aside and you show up anyway, you're rewriting that story. That's huge. Again, that goes into your micro wins. You showed up. It's another micro win. Hope this was helpful for you. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, I invite you, if you haven't yet, to subscribe to my channel, like this video. Feel free to share it. The more times it's shared, the more INFJs we get to help. And that's what it's all about. Again, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you real soon with another video. Bye for now.